Good evening and welcome back. I'm Natalie and today we're going to be doing a bit of gel printing when I can get my words up. So pull out 3 ink pads to play with. So I'm using Distress Oxides. It could be Distress inks, it could be dye inks, it could be hybrid inks, take your pick. But just so that you've got 3 inks that are kind of in some kind of colour scheme. Hi Kim! You're also going to want some stencils, so have a good stash of those to hand. You're also going to want to have material to print onto. Hi Mum! So if you've got mixed media card, that will work great. If you've got watercolour paper, that will work too. And if you've got just normal, fairly thick card, then you should be able to use that too. You're going to need a brayer and hopefully some spray water too to hand. So let me just grab mine. Now I have got some stamps as well so that we can play with those. And let's dive in. So do say hi if you're watching. And we have both sets of comments open, so I should be able to see comments from everyone today. So, yep, Ian's in the background watching as well. Okay, I'm just going to turn off that top screen, I think, because it's just in the way and it's not going to do much today. So, on the camera. Which one do we think it is? Overhead, I reckon. Nope, it's going to be the other one. Choice of 2, there we go. Hi Serena! Okay, so with our nice clean plate, I'm going to basically do a little bit of splodging. So we don't have to be too precise, but I'm just going to splodge some ink on there. So I'm using Wild Honey, and then I've gone into the cool greys with the weathered wood. I'm going to do a little line of that down the middle, and then we have the new Uncharted Mariner. So again, I'm going to go across this way. So what we are going to end up doing is creating lots of backgrounds. So this is a really good one for when you want to have a bit of playtime but you haven't got a whole lot of inspiration, maybe not a whole lot of time. And we're going to use our brayer to just blend it all together. So you're just going to keep rolling it across until you've got a nice even coverage across your gel paint. And onto a spare piece of card, we're going to roll our brayer. Now, if you are doing this onto a smooth surface, you'll get a nice smooth blend when you're doing this, but because I'm using all media, you're going to get a nice bit of texture. So we can turn that into a beach scene later if we want to. Okay. So, I'm going to pull out a piece of paper because we haven't got too wet yet. And let's go for a stencil. Now, if we use some of the Indian summer ones, they're nice and just the right size for this particular plate. So I'm going to pop that into the middle and then go over the top onto my paper. Now, I'm going to roll across and give a good firm pressure and try to have a hand on your actual paper as you're doing this, because it's paper rather than card. It is going to crinkle slightly, but then hopefully we get a lovely print. Okay, step 1 done. We can then just make sure that our, let's go this way, stencil's just picked up that colour, because when I come to do the next bit, it's going to need to have been pressed down. Okay. So I'm going to lift that off, place it ink side up onto a glass surface or onto a messing mat, and I'm just going to lightly spritz it with water. Now we're going to want to grab our watercolour card or mixed media card, and I'm just going to pop that straight down onto our stencil and give it a good breath. So what I tend to do in my backgrounds is use them on projects where you can see both sides, because usually they're both interesting. You kind of get a bit of a rubbing effect if you do this long enough. So you kind of pull your stencil through the back as well as having your image on the front. Okay. So now, because that's been sat there for a little while, I'm just going to give it very slight mist with water. And then we can grab another piece. And let's go that way. Hi Lynette. How would that smell? I'm really wrong and it's Taz. Okay. So let's see if that worked. And we lift off. Ta-da! Okay. So let's say we want to get a bit more in terms of mixing it up and layering.
How come the comments are appearing on the right side of the screen? That's the software that we use. It has a widget that puts them up there for us.
Yep.
So as people comment, it pops up at the side.
So in the case of tonight's stream, you'll see comments not only from the Facebook page, but also from guys who are watching on YouTube. So, which is cool, because then you can kind of chat to one another even though you're on different platforms. Okay, so I'm going to give that a quick clean, just because I don't want to risk contaminating my wild honey. And we can do another print. So I'm going to bring this one back in, because I'm liking the look of this texture here. And let's clean my stencil as well. So all I've got on my kitchen towel is just a little spritz of water. Okay. Yeah, I could have got another background out of that, but so this time I think I'm going to go for something that's a bit more blocky. So I'm just going to squidge my ink pad onto my gel plate. Yeah, it shouldn't be. It could be that Facebook's doing something weird, I suppose, in terms of the ratio, but from what we're outputting at our end, they are well on. Hi Noreen! So now I'm just going to kind of fill in the gaps. So, I knew I was going to go and put my finger in it at some point. I can guarantee it when I'm kind of using blue, because I always end up looking like a Smurf. Other kids' characters are available. Okay. No, there aren't many blue ones, are there? There you go. Chat for today, blue kids' characters.
Start it off with Smurfs.
Yeah. Okay, so if I put this onto white, you'll be able to see a little bit better what I've done. So now that it's on our gel plate, we don't have to worry about if they mix. I just want to kind of try and keep that block aesthetic, so I'm going to use my brayer onto the yellow section, and I'm going to do the same over here. Then let's go for one of the backgrounds that needs something else, and we can do a little roll like so. Now because it's textured, I'm going to do quite a few repetitions to try and get most of that off my brayer. But now when we come back to our gel plate, try and use the other end.
Yes.
Yay, blue clues. Okay. So now.
Did you say hi to Eileen?
Hi Eileen. Huh?
Eileen, sorry, not Eileen.
I said Noreen.
No.
Elaine.
Elaine.
Sorry. Hi Mel. So let's pop that along there, and I'm going to kind of just go around these edge bits where I've kind of missed a few little places. So let's do that little join up there. Okay, so now you can see that I've blended that out, so we've gone from having that really bobbly to it being quite smooth. And again, I'll flick over, and because the gradient's going this way, I'm going to take my roller that way. So right angles are always good. Okay, let's get a different stencil. And let's go for something totally different. I'll go for one I don't use that often. Yeah, you can tell it's because it's still clean. Oh dear. So I'm going to go for that to go diagonally across my blocks, like so. And I'm going to take that same piece of paper. I'm going to light across my stencil. Now, just before I go and run my brayer over the top, I am just going to clean it off. Seems a shame as there's so much ink still on here, but speed and all that. I would recommend you having two brayers. That you keep one clean for doing the burnishing and things. Okay, so I'm going to press that down. And if you get a few bits on this side, don't worry too much, because we're going to build up those layers anyway. So, that's cool. We've got our kind of background texture now, and it'd be nice to stamp on that in a bit. And again, we're going to have the ink that's transferred to our stencil. And that's going to be nice and moist because we did that extra spritz over the top. And nice firm pressure when you're doing this onto your glass surface as well, even with your textured papers. Could you just scroll up for me on the group chat? Because it's not auto scrolling, which isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
No, it's where it says new comments for.
Yeah, it's still scrolling up because I like that stencil just popped up.
Okay. It's just being a bit odd. Okay, so we've got kind of this loose texture here, which is going to be cool for doing some flowers actually. So let's pop that on there. And let's go onto our little beach one here. Again, a little bit more water. And one of the things that I love about Distress Oxides is that you can kind of get them wetter and wetter and wetter, and they keep giving you colour of some kind, but it changes as you add more and more. wonder what it is about Facebook chat. Kind of playing up. So, I'm just going to tap out the bits that are extra wet, just so that they dry a bit quicker. If you've got lots of time, or if it's like it was earlier in the week, they'll soon dry. So, there we go. So we can see where we've got the yellow interacting with that blue background, kind of knocks it out because we added the water. Okay, a little bit more, and let's go for a fresh piece. So you'll soon find yourself building up a whole stash of backgrounds. So I still have quite a bundle to use from my last session. Okay, so we've got some of our texture in there, and it almost looks like a street map. It's cool, isn't it? So now that we've got these bits on the edge, because I'm working with something that's a bit smaller, let's use that side. I'm just going to use my fingers, getting there. So we're pulling bits off like that, and one this side because we've got this stripe just here. Just line up, nice press down, lift, and there we go. So that can be a really easy way of creating a frame. The stencil's actually in two parts as well, so let's do a little bit of work with that, because it's not one I tend to show on stream very much. So let's get just going to go straight in with the liner and then weathered wood. So I'll skip the wild honey for this one, and I'm just going to spray it really loosely. So I'm not even worried about trying to create a gradient, it's just about mixing the colour on there. Now I'm going to use that edge there, and let's see how we go. And you can see where your stencil's got good contact with gel, because it will kind of come through the stencil. Okay, now that's on that, I'm going to give it a little mist. And let's go for, let's change paper. So let's try cartridge paper. So this is typically what you would do your sketching on.
Orange house, this is the blue ink Uncharted Marina.
Yes.
Joan's joined as well.
Hi Joan. So let's have a look. Because we're working with paper, it tends to have a bit more flexibility to it, so we should get quite a good outline of our stencil, which is another thing to bear in mind when you're choosing your papers for doing this. If we go with card, you're going to get a bit of a softer edge. Let's just see if I can pull a bit more detail up on that edge. There we go. And we have this kind of really funky edge that we can work with, but then when we start to layer over the top, we can do some really fun effects. So now we have okay, now the question is, can I get this up the right way? Did I take it out the wrong way? Probably, because the ink's on the other side. Okay, that's fine. We can go that way then. And let's mist over the top. And let's see if we can do a dual print in one go. So I'm going to add a little bit more water than what I normally would, because it's going to have to go over 2 sets of bunts. So smooth the side of your card down to give you the maximum amount of chance of getting this impression. And I'm going to give it a nice firm press. Clean my brow at the same time. Love the sound it makes. Okay. And let's see how we go. I got bits of it, but not all of it. Let's pick up what we didn't get. So I'm just going to move one stencil out of the way, because I think we've got everything we can get out of that. And let's go this way. So I'm hoping to pick up that round shape of our gel. So we've got a little bit, it's starting to dry out a little bit more though. So let's put a little bit more water, and I'm going to go and let's see if I can get it that way and kind of emphasise that corner. Yeah, the more water the better. Especially once you moved away from your gel plate. So your gel plate is better if you just lightly spritz, whereas if you're working on your glass surface you can go, yep, you could easily put it through your die cutting machine. What I would say with that is make sure it's a hand crank one rather than an electronic one. I don't tend to like it if you get them wet. There we go. So we've kind of emphasise the corner here, and then when we come to do our next bits we can carry on emphasising that in our stamping. I'm just going to take a little bit of that water away, and then we can carry on with the next bit. Also trying to be good and not use my heat gun as much. I know it's quite annoying on stream. There we go, so that can carry on. And let's give everything a quick dry. So there's so much water on here now that it's like just dry everything off. I suppose it depends on how wet it is, whether it's going to squidge. But yeah, I would say stick to a hand crank one if it's particularly damp. It's just safer that way. Okay. Now we've still got a little bit of colour on here. So let's grab another stencil. You know what I should have tried doing? Actually, you're over there, aren't you? You could pass me one. Can you pass me a Distress ink spray rather than an oxide spray? Because if I spray an oxide, it's going to go everywhere.
I don't know which Distress ink.
The ones that say ink, as opposed to oxide. Or you can give me a sparkly one if you want. There you go.
Mica stain.
Oh, which one did you go for? This could be an interesting colour combination. So, Ian has given me the Crooked Broomstick mica spray. You can pass me one of the PGG ones in a minute as well. So let's try this. So, trying to do it light coat and also try not to spray everything else in the craft room. Okay, I'm going to go for this piece again. And actually, for this first one, let's go a little bit thicker, because I'm just concerned that it's a little bit wet for that first one. Let's see what I've got. Ooh. Ooh. Let's try this. Means we're going to sparkle anyway. I'm just gonna try spraying that out just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we have some card here with mica shimmer in it. So let's see how that goes.
Question from Tracy: do you know if the Dylusions ink sprayers are alcohol inks?
Dylusions. I don't know because I haven't got them in my stash yet. That's the honest answer. If anybody else knows. Okay, not bad, not bad. So the thing to remember with your gel prints is that they may not necessarily be used as a whole piece. It might be that you pull sections of it out, it might be that you die cut with them. So even if you do something you think, oh no, that's totally not any use whatsoever, don't throw it away and try and do something else with it. Like that one would look really cool if we did like leafy twigs out the background. So I'm not sure if we can quite pick up the sparkle. Let's see if I can get that a little bit better. It's got quite a shimmer to it, but it's not going across on screen at all. Soil over them on white cups. Thought I would check before buying a couple. Best place to check is going to be the Ranger website. There, we will soon tell you on there. Okay, so I'm not even going to clean this. Let's pull this one up, set it to one side. I'm going to go in with Deep Ocean. Hi Angela, if I haven't said hi already. So I'm just going to do a little light squirt, and let's go. Don't really want to go over that because it's a bit too dark. Go on, let's go for it. Because we've kind of got an oceany theme going on that one anyway. So because we haven't got a stencil underneath, I'm just going to go a little bit lighter because of that moisture, given that this is only paper that I'm working on. And let's see, here we go. Pulled some bits up. There we go. So we've got little bits from our old stencil, little bits from our round stencil that we did, and then we've got
Blue fish at the top.
a big blue fish, yeah, and lots of gold sparkle that you can see coming through in places. So that's nice. Those two act really well together. I'm going to have to make a note of that. It's always on stream. Ooh. So with those colours there, let's go back to this one. I'm just going to press that down. Okay, and let's pull that bit. Okay, now I'm seeing a sailing ship, but that could be me. And that's one of the things I love about gel pens. It's like the old psychologist thing, isn't it, of what do you see in the ink splats. So let's give that a little bit of a rinse down, just because. And I will use another piece just to kind of mop up. It's going to have very pale colours, but saves wasting all of it. And as I said before, we can set that to one side to dry. That one's a little bit wetter, so we probably won't get around to doing that tonight, but we'll see how it goes. And because I've sprayed, just gives the glass a good clean.
That's looking building in Dubai.
Oh yes, 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 yes. I know exactly the one you mean. Yeah. Because it looks like you can see the stories going up the side actually. How you say that? Because you can see like the starting to fade out into like the little horizontal line. So that'd be quite cool to doodle over the top. Okay. So just before my stencil dries too much, let's see if we can get that off there. And a bit more water. And let's go for this one, even though it's still wet. And then we can give it a nice press down. And ta-da! So with the second impression you don't tend to get as much sparkle, but you do get like a kind of clearer outline of the stencil. So it's horses for courses. No right answers, it's crafting. Okay, quick clean up. Let's go back to this one. I'm going to place my stencil on my clean gel plate. And let's go for a wild honey. I'm going to go right into the middle. Then I'm going to go to Velvet Wood, and we're going to go and just press close to, but not quite touching the wild honey. Then we can go around the outside. Do you want to just grab my phone and just check? Okay. So I'm going to go round the edge with a good press. Like so. Now, because your stencil has a raised edge, you're going to want to get a little bit more into the nitty gritty. So, what you really need, and what is down the other end of the room, is some blending sponges. You should put all my trolleys around here. Just confuse me. It doesn't take a lot. Where have they gone? They're usually on here. Oh. Okay. In the absence of those, let's use something else then. I use a blending brush. So, oxides, so pick out ones that kind of go. Let's go for that one. And I need a yellowy one. Okay. So, I'm just going to tap rather than kind of smoosh. Does that make sense? Okay, now I'm going to go to the blue and I'm going to do the same. Just tap round. Okay, because I'm going to use the same blending brush for this one, I'm going to go round the next ring of the stencil. So circular stencils are really good for this because it makes it nice and easy. So the reason I'm tapping it rather than brushing is if you brush you might move the stencil, or you could possibly take off too much ink and you won't get the print. So we will see how it goes. Let's get the nail in. And hopefully when we peel this off we should see a nice clear impression. Again, going to leave that stencil to one side and we can pull that. Okay, a little mist, and let's go for something that's a bit lighter. Let's go for this one, but I'm going to go for black. And let's go off to one side rather than keep doing the middle, because then we can get two impressions at one go. So let's put this one to there. Okay, and we can give a good press with our brayer. Okay, so we've got a little bit of detail going on in that one. Now the one that should pop a little is this one. And there we go. So you can see the difference between going on to a darker background as opposed to a lighter one. So it's all about how much of a pop you want. So that's exactly the same colours, but it makes a huge amount of difference. Okay, so very quickly, just to finish off these ones, I'm just going to spritz those down, give it a quick clean, and then let that dry before putting it back away. Do keep your covers for your gel plates. Set that to one side to be safe. And let's bring my stencil back in very quickly. I might give it another mist. And let's go back to this one. And I'm going to pull a corner. So I'm going to use the lines on the stencil to try and help me. May not get it 100%, but close enough. Okay, and let's see how that works. There we go. So because I've done that first pull, I'm just going to quickly blot it so that I'm not accidentally transferring ink anywhere else. Okay, round we go. And I'm going to go for this corner next. Okay. I love when you start to build up layers of oxide is how the colours will interact. So around a bit more, so we're going for this area next and this corner. And you can see the stencil starting to dry off a little bit, So I'm just going off very quickly. Just give it another little mist, so that hopefully this last impression should have a good matte ink to play with. There we go. And ta-da! So let's go to this one where we did our border before, and let's just see if there's anything else to pick up from off the outside. I don't think there is. There's only really little bits, so that'll do. So what I will do after the live is just chuck all those into a bowl of water, and because it's oxide it will just float away rather than having to use any chemicals or anything. Oh, you've got to get your gel plate out. It's a really quick way of working. So here's a little sneak preview of backgrounds that I've done. So literally that was, what, a couple of hours, Mum? Just sat there just playing with different ink colours, and if you go on my Instagram there's actually a few photos up, so you can see that those in their full glory along with some colour listings. Oh, don't be scared of it. No. Nothing to be scared of with a gel plate. I do keep separate ones for paint as opposed to ink, because I just find that once you've got paint on them you kind of start to get little bumpy bits, so you don't tend to get quite the same level of print as you would if it was just a always used for ink. So next let's go to, which stamp should we go for? Let's go for these ones. But I'm going to go for some texture stamps. So if you haven't quite got the texture that you want from your gel print, or if you want to use other things like embossing powders, then we can use our stamps to add those textures to our work. I'm just going to grab a clear stamp, mate, and let's go for this one, because then we can kind of start to create that frame, and we can go in with the same colours, so we don't have to swap or always go to a black. Is it an actual gel plate? Yes, it is an actual gel plate. So it's a nice thick squidgy one. Okay, so let's go and take that up there. And that's one of the benefits of having a splodge stamp that has a form of a line in it, so that we can actually start to add a bit of a frame to our work. And remember to rotate it round as well, so that you're getting the different elements down the side, so it just looks a little bit more random. So this time I'm probably going to go that way. Hi Kay! So I'm going to go down. I'm also going to try and get the same amount of distance as well between this line and the edge. So you could use the grid on your stamp platform if you want to use a stamp platform to kind of build up your frame. But do. Again, just going to very quickly blot that off. My poor kitchen towel at this point is getting very damp and wants to fall apart, so let's use that bit there actually. Try and get most of that ink off. Okay, next let's go for I'm going to go for this lovely texture stamp. So it's like a half-tone pattern but with diamonds in rather than dots, which is what a half-tone is usually made up of. And rather than going to our darkest colour, let's go either Weathered Wood or Wild Honey, so that we're kind of putting it into the background then. And I'm going to go over to where the blue side is, because obviously stamping yellow on yellow is a bit pointless. We're going to get that texture up there. Now I'm going to do the same again. But this time, instead of stamping it straight down, I'm going to give it a mist with water. Okay, I'm getting there. Okay, so I'm going to try and line this up. Okay, now at the moment, this is going to look like it's a little bit wet. But as it dries, you're going to see that some of those little stamped diamonds are actually going to lift through our stamping, so that we actually see a bit more of that yellow coming through. So who reckons I can get this stamped and coloured in the time I have left? Okay. I will clean my stamps properly after, honestly. Let's go for a small bird rather than the big one. And I'm going to reach for my archive inks. Let's go to Prize Ribbon. I could do a navy one, but Prize Ribbon would be close enough, I think. Now, if you were working with your hot sides for this one, then you could use your gel plate to actually do a mirror image if you wanted to. Easier if it's mounted onto a plastic mount to do that. So there's one birdie, and because it looks rather lonely, let's give him a friend. Let's go at that angle there. How are we doing here?
8 minutes.
Okay, jar of water, paintbrush. And I'm going to pick up what's on my stencil, just to do a little bit of colouring. So this is also going to pick up what's on the cardboard. Let's see if I can just move it slightly so you can see slightly better. There we go. I'm going to take a little bit under here so that we get a bit of shading going on. Same around there, and then up round the eye and round the side of the head there. So all I'm doing is just literally using the colours that are already on my piece, not having to dip into any watercolours or anything. And just basically going where the shadows would be. So I'm going to pop a little bit more around the base of this wing here, so that we kind of make that front wing pop forward. Let's pick up a bit of the yellow this time, and we can go just on the edge of the body there, and I'm just going to do a little bit just down this edge of the wing, so it makes it stand out as being a bit different from the background. Same here. And this is going to be like the world's quickest like watercolour technique ever. How am I doing?
James got to go.
Okay. So down here, I'm just going to go underneath the wing there, and back to our yellow, and down the edge. And all the layers that you watercolour over the top are still going to interact with those stamped textures below. So you'll get interesting things as they keep drying, or if you use a heat gun, you can kind of lock it in place if you want to. A little bit more blue and I'll be done, so let's just pick a bit more off the stencil and just do these bits down here, that bit in there. Just going to add a bit more to this bit too. And there we go. So we've done a really quick little card based on our gel plate. So I hope you've had fun, and do get out those gel plates. Oh dear, no, that's not a good combination, Mod Podge and yeah, no.
Actually, you know, having vinegar bottles.
Yeah, so hence I have everything in like sprays when I can. So I have an alcohol spray to hand as well, and I keep my water in a jar, so it's really obvious which one is which. Because yeah, I've been there, done that. So let's pull out some of these prints so that we can see them all. I doubt I can get them all in shot, but we can try. Could you just bung those in the sink for me, Ian? Just so I can have a bit more desk space just to get some of these out onto the show. And there we go. And if you wanted to, you could still kind of do your ink splats. You could layer up your 3D embellishments. You could go over with your paste to highlight some of that texture. You could even kind of put something else entirely different in terms of a stencil and put paste through, so that it's going to pull some of those colours through. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I'll be back in 2 weeks' time, and hopefully doing something a bit different. So take care for now, and have a fantastic weekend. Don't forget to check out the website for the Friday Feels deal. That's a mouthful. And thank you, Lynette or Taz, whichever it is. And I look forward to seeing you then.